Today I want to talk to you guys a little bit more about my experience getting a rhinoplasty. Since I did my first video about my rhinoplasty healing experience, what to expect, how the bruising kind of comes and goes, and what you're going to see in the next several days after your rhinoplasty, I got lots of different messages, a lot of personal messages, a lot of emails asking more questions about the rhinoplasty, wanting to know more about my experience getting it done. So I figured I would answer some very requested questions so that you guys know what you're in for if you decide to do it. Question number one, what procedure did you have done? So I had a rhinoplasty and I also had a septoplasty. The septoplasty was because I had a deviated septum, I had a hard time breathing, so I did internal structure of the nose, and then I also did a cosmetic fix. I am Canadian, so the septoplasty was covered by OHIP, but the rhinoplasty was a procedure that I had to pay for. In terms of my nose, before my rhinoplasty, my nose had quite a large bump here and it kind of drooped down. When I smiled especially, I found that the tip drooped quite a bit. My doctor, Dr. Corey Goldberg, who's based out of Toronto, Canada, actually informed me and let me know that my nose was actually shaped that way. When my face moved up, my cheeks moved up, and then the illusion that my nose was drooping was what I was seeing, and that was a thing that I hated the most. So I just got this part shaved and shortened and this part smoothed out so that I have a little bit more of like a swoopy nose. Was rhinoplasty the first procedure you've ever done? No, actually it wasn't. So I also had my ears pinned back. That's called an otoplasty. So growing up, I had ears that stuck out like crazy, and one stuck out significantly more than the other one. So in my very early 20s, I got an otoplasty done. That was a really easy procedure. I didn't even have to be put to sleep for that. It was a local anesthesia. I just lay down with my head in like a massage table, and they did it, and it healed pretty easily. Did you struggle with confidence issues, depression caused by the look of your nose, or any other drawback in your development? I don't think that I had depression necessarily. I definitely struggled with a lot of things when I was younger, which actually ended up leading to hair loss. And I talk a lot about that in one of my other videos. So I'm not gonna say that I'm the most confident person in the world, that I think I'm gorgeous and amazing. When I was in my early 20s, I'm in my mid 30s now, I definitely had issues with confidence. Did I think it was directly related to my nose? Not necessarily. I think that it was related to a whole host of other feelings of not being beautiful or worthy, or pressures from working in the fashion industry as a makeup artist and hairstylist. There was a lot that I saw, a lot of priming, a lot of thinking about beauty in this specific kind of distorted way. So I definitely do think maybe I did have some depression, maybe I did have some feelings of insecurity, but whether or not it was directly connected to my nose, I want to say no. I want to say it was more connected to things like my weight, but I have to say that I've been significantly happier with the way I've looked after I got the rhinoplasty, significantly happier, and my confidence has definitely elevated since I've gotten the rhinoplasty. Have you tried any other ways to visually change the appearance of your nose, such as makeup tricks, injectable fillers, etc.? I absolutely have. So for about 2 years before I got my rhinoplasty done, I was doing fillers. So because I had that large bump here, I got them to fill up top and below, I believe, to make the nose straight and not have a bump. To be completely honest, I know that a lot of people have success with injectable fillers. I don't think that it looked bad by any means, but I don't think that the results were really worth the money. Perhaps if I had a larger bump and it was more smoothed out, but what I didn't like about my nose was generally the overall size and shape, not necessarily just the bump. So if you want to smooth out the bump and you don't want to get a rhinoplasty yet, definitely go the injectable filler route. It does last quite a long time there. And once you get rid of that bump, your nose does have the illusion of being smaller. But for me personally, the shape was still not what I wanted. So although I tried to do that, and I definitely tried to do a lot of contouring and a lot of highlighting, I was never happy because the overall shape, especially the fact that I had like a droop, was just not aesthetically pleasing to my eye. How long were you unsatisfied with the appearance of your nose? Did it start early? And how long did it take for you to strongly decide to make a change? This is a crazy question because for as long as I can remember, I didn't like my nose. And it was crazy because for me to make the decision to undergo surgery wasn't one that I took super lightly. I thought about it for a really long time. So I had my son. When he turned 1, I made a consultation. Then I got freaked out and canceled it. Then I waited 1 more year and he turned 2. That year, from when he was 1 to 2, my business did very, very well. And it was like this thing went off in my head where I just thought, what am I waiting for? And it was a little bit hard because my family was pretty against it. You know, your family always, they really, really love you, and they're gonna do everything that they can to make you feel loved and for you to accept yourself and who you are. And so my husband didn't want me to do it. My parents didn't want me to do it. Nobody wanted me to do it, but I had the money for it, and I just decided, like, I want to do this. For as long as I can remember, I didn't like it. I didn't like how it curved. I tried to change it with filler. I tried to change it with makeup. So once I had my mind set and I called the doctor, I just knew that I just had to put the deposit down, so there was no going back, and I just had to freaking do it. And so that's what I did. How did you find your surgeon, and how did you know he was the right one for you? I had done a lot of research for a lot of other really great rhinoplasty surgeons in Toronto, but I just found that with Dr. Goldberg, he had a real attention to detail. The nose is the very center of your face. It's right there for everyone to see, and I wanted to make sure that I was working with someone that saw a very particular aesthetic, that would understand the balance, that made sure that he wasn't transforming my ethnicity. I'm Brazilian. I didn't want to all of a sudden not look Latina, so there were certain cultural nose things that were important to me. He had a free consultation at the time. I'm not sure if it's still that way, but when I went in to talk to him, he put me in this machine and did like a 180 of my face, and then he actually photoshopped my nose right in front of me to show me what he thought I should do. And I loved that because he showed me exactly what it was gonna look like before me doing it, and I knew that his aesthetic was on par with my aesthetic. And then I even sent him this obnoxious email, like, the poor man must get this so much, and it was just like a million thoughts about what I don't want my nose to look like and what I want my nose to look like, with like a ton of pictures. Oh, Dr. Goldberg, I'm sorry if you're watching this. I'm so sorry. I should have just trusted you. But I was nervous. I was really nervous, right? And he was so reassuring. He wrote me back and he said, I've noted that. I understand your concerns. I know what you want and what you don't want. And he was so validating, but he was a phenomenal listener. You know, he really let me talk, and he really listened with intent. And I could tell that I was in really good hands with him, and that was very important to me. Since the prices of plastic surgery in Canada are pretty high, were you considering traveling to do the treatment? I considered going to Brazil because I'm Brazilian, and my cousin got it done in Brazil, and her nose looked beautiful and the prices were drastically lower. But because I had my baby, I didn't feel comfortable leaving him for that long or for really any length of time. And to be honest, there's something to be said about being in your own bed with your own food and your own family, you know, like even if I was going to be with family in Brazil, it would have been very different, and it would have been a different language that I speak Portuguese, but I'm not as used to it anymore because I've been in Canada for so long. And I really needed to know that if I was going to do this, I was going to be 100% confident, and I would get the results that I wanted. And I felt much more safe being at home. I would have never gone to a really foreign country to get it done. Absolutely not. This is the middle of your face. This is just not something that you like throw caution to the wind and like go for it. This is a really big freaking deal, and I wanted to make sure 100% that I knew what I was in for, and I felt more comfortable being in it in my own country with my own healthcare system and being in an environment that I really understand. What was post-surgery like? Day 1, day 2, 3? I'm not gonna answer this again because I answered it in my other rhinoplasty video and I go through all of the photos for healing and recovery. If you have questions about my post-surgery healing, recovery, how I felt, definitely check out that video after this one because you'll get a really good sense of it there. How did you deal with the pain and for how long did you have to take the medications? So I took Percocet. There was an option between Tylenol 3 and Percocet. I wanted to do Tylenol 3 and then I quickly changed my mind and decided to do Percocet because I was scared of the pain. The one thing that I can tell you is that pain accumulates. Pain gets progressively worse and then it's very hard to get it back down. So you have to stay on top of your pain. I took the medication at the recommended intervals, not when I started to feel delirious from pain. I think that a lot of people who have rhinoplasties and get a lot of pain are very uncomfortable. It's because they kind of let the pain become this like monster over them and then they can't like calm it down. So even though I don't want to take Percocet, I'm not really like a drug person, I just did. I just took it and then I started stretching it a little bit longer. I believe I was on those perks for about a week, but not so closely intervaled. I started to just like stretch it a little bit longer and longer, and then eventually I didn't have to take it at all, of course. For how long did you have trouble breathing through your nose? I would say it was like a good month. So at the beginning, I was using those nasal steroid sprays. Dr. Goldberg said I could use them, but they are a bit of a slippery slope. The more you use them, the more you want to use them, and you get like rebound congestion and it becomes a whole mess. So I had to really wean myself off of that, and I had to be very strict with myself to not use it because you are so desperate to use it because it's like instant relief and you feel great. So I used them for about 2 weeks post-op, I believe, and then I really just had to like go cold turkey and ride it out. But by 1 month, I was feeling great. How long did the complete recovery take? So this is an interesting thing because the first week you feel like death. You really do. You just feel like crap. And then by 2 weeks, you're feeling much better. By 3 weeks to a month, you're like feeling so good. But really the recovery for your nose, like for it to all of the swelling to go down, for all of the details to show, for the tip to get tiny, for everything to look adorable, is like a year. So when I say that, I don't want to sway you to not get it done because for me, really it was quite life-changing. But I say that because you need to know what to expect, because when you do get it done, like it's not going to be as tiny and perfect as it will be like 1 year from there. So you have to really be patient in the recovery. You're still going to feel fine. You're still going to look great, but the overall details only come much later. So get ready for it, because if you're 1 month post-op and you already love your nose, you're going to like freaking love it so much after a year. Would you say it was worth it? I would say it was 100,000 million times worth it. It was worth it. I actually regret so much not having done it way before I did. It just really changed the way that I felt about myself, and it really made me want to experiment more with different haircuts and textures and colors. Like I just felt like when my nose was really proportioned, my face became really proportioned. And when my face became really proportioned, I had more flexibility in how I wore my hair and a fringe and short cuts, and everything just had more balance. So I 100% think it's worth it, and I 100% think I should have done it sooner. How much did it cost? I hate answering this because everyone's situation's different, and I don't want my doctor to get like bombarded with like these, you know, costs, like why did hers cost less or more? Like everyone is different, and I also had it done 4 years ago. I paid $10,000. I'm not sure how much it costs now. I don't know if maybe it's the same, but I am from Canada. I got it done in Toronto by a really amazing, very experienced doctor. It was $10,000 and it was absolutely worth it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that I answered all of your rhinoplasty questions in this video. If you liked this video, then you may be interested in watching this one next. I'll see you in a few days. Bye.